Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024, the Audien Atom 2 series offers superior sound quality and functionality for a fraction of the price. For just $189 a pair, the Atom 2 features 4 different hearing modes for all types of hearing loss. It packs crystal clear sound, a nearly invisible design, and is even rechargeable.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids. They're so comfortable, I forget I'm wearing them. And the sound is amazing.
The Atom Pro 2 is our smallest hearing aid yet, featuring advanced background noise cancellation, and is the world's first hearing aid with built-in UV cleaning that kills 99% of bacteria.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed without seeing a doctor or having a hearing test.
Join over 500,000 happy customers today and get the hearing you deserve.
Call 1-800-457-0924 or go to audienhearing.com to get your pair of Audien hearing aids starting at just $189.
Welcome to a very special Turnpike Sports Spotlight. Dave Weishottle with you here. So, why is it a very special Turnpike Sports Spotlight? Well, most of you have heard the news that the great Jimmy Vaccaro is retiring. He has meant so much to the sports betting community, so we wanted to pay a little tribute to him. We had the great honor of interviewing him in March of 2019. At that time, he left Las Vegas for a short time to become the director of sports relations at Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh. So, in tribute to Jimmy, we wanted to replay that interview for you. So here is the great Jimmy Vaccaro from March of 2019. You know, when it comes to sports betting, it's rare when you get to talk to a legend in the field, and that's what I'm going to do today. This guy has done and seen everything when it comes to casinos and sports books. Until recently, he was the director of sports marketing at the South Point Casino in Vegas, but now he's back on the East Coast to head up the sports book at the Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh. Of course, I'm talking about the great Jimmy Vaccaro. Jimmy, thanks for coming on.
It's my pleasure, young man, and always enjoy talking about sports gambling, and now obviously a new era with legalization across the country. So at a tender age of 73, I'm getting revitalized, but it's been a lot of fun so far.
Did you ever think you'd see the day when sports betting came to outside of Vegas?
Oh, there was a time when I thought it was almost a slam dunk, and then, as usual, the politicians snuffed it out. I can remember going back well over 30 years ago where there's actually representatives from some of the people on the East Coast saying, let's review this Wire Act and so forth and maybe get this thing started on the right track. At that particular time, I thought, this thing had a chance, but then naturally, after that failed, then obviously Bill Bradley stepping in there and slamming everything dead way back in the early 90s. Yep. It seemed like it would never happen again. Did a few of the American Gaming Association conferences probably started about 3 to 5 years ago, and you thought you might have had a breath of fresh air there. And obviously, after all that time, but to answer your question, yes, I thought we'd get here. Did not think it would take this long.
Well, let me ask you about your new position at Rivers Casino. It's a bit of a homecoming for you, right? You're from the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah, I'm right from a little town right now. I'm in Trafford, Pennsylvania, 22 miles east of Pittsburgh. So growing up here, naturally, I knew a lot of things about what you would consider the word illegal gambling, but it was all around you, and I enjoyed it quite a bit as a youngster. But then moved to Las Vegas in my 20s, and actually I played relatively lucky. When I got to Las Vegas, remember this, guys, out there listening, that the sports books were at the time not involved in the casinos anywhere in Las Vegas. The hotel didn't want anything to do with sports betting because of the low percentage and low hold of money. So in 73 or 74, Lefty Rosenthal, the famous Lefty Rosenthal, opened up the sports book in the Stardust Hotel, and then the great Bob Martin, who obviously needs no introduction there, opened the sports book at the Union Plaza, which is downtown. Then Michael Gaughan, my mentor for all these years, opened up a small casino right down the street from the Stardust, and we were the third or fourth to open up sports betting in a casino. Since that time, I think there's now 145 places in the state of Nevada where you can make legal bets on sports wagering. So it was a long journey. I landed at the right time, got my chance with Michael Gaughan, and from that particular point in time, I rode the wave like a lot of other people, but it's been a great ride so far, and I'm not done yet.
You know, as a young guy starting out in the sports betting business, what surprised you about the industry itself when you first started out? Because I know a lot of young people are trying to get involved in the casinos and the sports books. What advice do you give them? What should they look for when they get their first job there?
Well, it's really harder than it used to be for the main reason is very simple. As you know, consolidation has taken over the world in general, and obviously it's taken over in the casinos. What I mean by that, like Stations Casino, a monster operation. Actually, Artie Manteris, another Pittsburgh kid who worked for me way back when, now he's the president of all them. They control 11 casinos and 11 sports books. So what that does, young man, is like it takes away people like aspiring to like get in with the stations and go to the top real quick. Well, you got 10 people in front of you every position that you want. When I first came to town, when it was brand new, it was a lot easier. From the start of the Aladdin on the Strip clear down to the Sahara, there might be 15 different places where you could get a job that wasn't run by one company. So that part makes it really, really harder. I used to tell kids way back when, it's not a bad time to come out. I said, if you want to start as a ticket writer or any way you can in the sports book, you have some knowledge of what it is this stuff is all about, you have a fair chance. But since that time, you got to come in, and barring something really crazy, you're probably looking at a 3 to 5 year period before you even get promoted in the place that you're at, only because it's cannibalized to some degree that one guy runs, 10 books at a time. So quite different. And I tell them in a nice, sincere way, because we've all been down this road, when you come, have enough money to support yourself for about a year. The glitz and glamour will get right to you, and you'll think you'll be another genius coming to town, and you'll feel bad about yourself if you're dead broke after about 3 or 4 months and you got to go to work every day. So it's just something I tell a lot of what can I say? We've all been down that road. So it's not what it used to be, but now with the legalization of sports everywhere, I tell every kid that calls me up, call and see what states are offering what. Now, at least fill out a resume and an application, even if you're not from that state. You may get a break. I know we hired 2 people at the Rivers who from Las Vegas, and simply because they had the background, they had the understanding, they knew what was going on, but they had to go 2,000 miles, but the trip was worth it. So be careful, have some foresight, don't get crazy. It takes a little longer, but please throw your name out there everywhere, because I would suggest, and this is just Jimmy's guess, in the next 3 to 5 years, there'll be another 15 states that'll legalize sports betting, which gives you some opportunity maybe to break in at the low ranks.
Now, as you said, you worked in the business for over 40 years now, and you were actually part of the evolution of the sports betting business. You were there and you've seen it all. I mean, over the years, how has the sports betting business itself changed?
Well, it's very simple, young man, and I get asked that quite a bit. And it's just taken out of the back rooms. Where once as a kid, I'm actually right in front of a house like this. This guy used to be a small-time bookmaker in this little town of Trafford. That has completely changed. So what we're seeing now, more than anything else, is like take it out of the back room. No cigar smoking, throw the cigarette on the floor, no cussing out loud or getting crazy. That stuff is done. The most important thing, I believe, that come along in the last 25 to 30 years are women are now frequenting the sports books more and more every year. They understand it better, they like it better, and it used to be like when the guy would say, I'm going over to the sports book, his wife or girlfriend at the time would say, okay, go over there. You would be surprised, especially on the weekend when there's something really going on, that they're with them, and sometimes they're just with a group of women themselves. They enter contests, they frequent the book, and then they're there. You have them inside your building. So I would say women showing up in sports books has been dramatic. I thought it would grow, but it's growing much faster than I once thought it would be.
Yeah, I want to talk about the older sports books. Back in the 70s and 80s. I'm sitting here in New Jersey, and I'm being more aware of the point spreads and the money lines, and I'm amazed how often the books get these numbers right. Were they always as accurate in the 70s and 80s when it came to setting the odds and money lines, or is this the computerized age and you're putting in algorithms, and are they more accurate now than they were before?
Well, no, I wouldn't use the word more accurate, but it's like everything else, young man, and I say this with all sincerity. The part of the reason why I'm still around is, yes, we all know about the computerized sports world, and make no mistake about it. You could see it coming about, between 7 to 8 years ago, that it was coming, and you better be prepared. And what happened, and I hate to say this about friends that I grew up with or friends that I made friends with a long time ago, they didn't want that. They just wanted to go back to the old pencil in the back of the ear, sit down at night and scrape up a few things, look at tomorrow's schedule, make a number on it, bring it to the place you're working at, and go from there. That's completely different. Now everything is sent overnight. Everything is sent, months ahead of time. There was a time when, it'll show up again. Give it about another 6 weeks when the NFL sends its schedule out for the first week of the football season. We'll post odds on those. That was never done before. Future books were never done until like a month before the season started. It's a new era. So what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're getting into it, don't think you're just going to come in and ramrod it because you've been around for 40 years. What I've done, hopefully, to some degree, I think it shows that why I lasted this long is like I welcome the new stuff. I look at everything. I listen to everything everybody says, but there's still 25% in me that says, I still have to have a feel for this. I still have to have an understanding of what I think is going to happen, how it's going to happen, how it's going to unravel. Those are the guys who will survive. So the algorithms and everything else, yes, it's there. But the only thing I point out, and I'm very sincere about this, being what we would call me a bookmaker or whatever, there was other things that I looked at constantly to see the growth in the industry in general. That's your ticket count. How many tickets did you write this week as opposed to last week? If the number keeps going up, you're doing a pretty good job. It's like every other business. You must keep reinventing yourself. If you don't do this, it won't happen. So you have to have an understanding. And here's the point I'm making. Every mid-January, early February, the state of Nevada, and I'm sure Pennsylvania and the other states will do this very soon also, is like they send you a compiled record of the entire year on what every sports book took on every type of bet that they have. So in general, all the money goes in and like, how much did we pay out? Well, the percentage hold on those things have been holding steady between 4.5% and 6.5% ever since I can remember. So what I'm saying is, like, if you maintain with what you're doing, with the understanding of like always looking what's next, you're going to hold around this. You don't want to go below the 4% because almost like you're breaking even. I've been doing it a long time. The highest win percentage I've ever had or heard from other people was, 8% for the year. That means we knocked down a lot of favorites, a lot of teasers, a lot of marquee teams went down. So, but you do pay attention to it, but you got to keep your eyes open. Contests are a huge deal anymore. We first did the Pick the Pros contest in the Royal Inn in 1978. I think we had 600 people who entered the contest, which wasn't bad at the time. Sure. Now, the Royal Inn grew into the Barbie Coast, which was an absolute firecracker when it came to other places opening up soon. We did 33,000 people in the contest in 1983. So you can see from 600 to a span of 4 to 5 years later, we had 33,000. Now there's contests everywhere. So some of the things I'm proud of, and some of the things, maybe we could do a little bit better job, but happy to be a part of what you call the evolution.
It's amazing to hear you talk, to hear the experiences you have. So you're the guy that I want to ask this question to. In your opinion, what makes a sports book great?
Well, it's like any other business. First of all, there's a lot of competition anymore. Make no mistake about it. Like I said, there was, beside the independents way back that didn't have any casinos, the Harry Gordon at Churchill Downs, Gene Mayday at Little Caesars, Bill Dark in North Las Vegas. These people had no casinos, so it was just what we would call the old time BMs being in there. So what makes it now? It's like every other business. You got to be fair. You got to treat the people good. And remember, and I told this to every kid that's worked for me over the past how many years, that, listen, the guy that bets $15 on a 3-team parlay and the guy the next window bets $5,000 on a 2-team parlay, well, the guy that bets the $15, he thinks he's just as important as the guy who bets $5,000. So you got to tread water a little bit and treat this guy, because the $15 guy every day is going to come into your place, and so you have to like make it easy for him, and you can't be afraid to take a bet. There's a lot of people that poo-poo some of that stuff. I don't think I've ever. Well, I know for sure I've never told a person he can't have a bet. That's for sure. You try to accommodate everything, everybody. Now I know we're into the era of the computers, and some people don't want to take this guy's action or whatever, but I've always said this, and I'm sincere about it. There are a lot of people out there on the other side of the counter who know as much, or in a lot of cases know much more than me. So I want these people to bet with me, because I'd rather have these smart people in front of me as opposed to behind me. Now, that's a different situation, a lot of different joints, and I don't mind whatever you want to run your store like, that's fine. But my thing has been, relatively wide open to the degree. We've taken some very, very big bets at the South Point. Naturally, the Mirage, when I was there, was just like, I can't even begin to tell you how many people came in and bet. You would think carloads of money, but they showed up, and it's been fun ever since.
In Vegas, you learned your craft, and you really became a master of what you do. How difficult was it to leave Vegas and come back east to work?
Well, first of all, I don't think I would have done it there, and not to try to throw my ego in front of everybody, but
I'll do it for you. Don't worry about it. Unfold is simply, I was contacted by a lot of other people in a lot of other states. Well, I would have never, ever, ever considered going there. The only place it fell into my lap would be if something in Pennsylvania would become available, and naturally with Pittsburgh being 22 miles east of where I grew up, that was the catalyst that made me come out. Plus, the Rivers people have been nothing but great to me, from Bill Keena at the Rivers to Greg Carlin, the CEO of all the Rivers stuff and all the Rush Street interests that they own. That's what drove me. And 73 years old. And that was a big part also. I come back here, being from an Italian family with 20 cousins. I still see a lot of them, and it's still been fun. But it's still a work in progress here. It's not a slam dunk, only because the growth that they're going to see real quick. Now, the first few weeks at the Rivers, the Super Bowl Sunday was as I expected. Insanity, yeah.
But insanity in a way where I was actually surprised. More people knew what they were doing as opposed to more people who didn't know what they were doing. That's a pretty good sign. But like I said, the Pittsburgh area was the first thing. The nice people that I'm working for now, and we'll go from here and see what happens.
Well, tell me something about the book. I mean, when I walk in there for the first time, what am I seeing? What am I experiencing? Take us through the book. What's the experience like?
Well, first of all, it's like all the other states that have been opening up, around the area, around the country, is simply these are mostly temporary books. You wanted to get open and obviously take the action and see what it was like from the auditing side and compliance side and whatever. Now the Rivers, I imagine it's another 3 to 4 months. They are starting the process of getting down to to build a huge sports book, naturally with all the bells and whistles that go along with it, and that'll be open probably sometime in May or June. So they wanted to get open to see what it was like. So what I had seen and what I had recommended for them to do so far, they're taking all this stuff in. That doesn't mean they have to do what I think might be a good thing for them down the line, but they're very, very wide open. So you walk into the Rivers Sportsbook right now. There's six tellers. There's a nice area to watch all the games. And then the biggest surprise that I had, not that I didn't know was coming, are the kiosks. The kiosks now are the self-betting stations that you just simply walk, wait in line, go up there, and you're on your own up there. It's very, very easy. It's very fan-friendly and betting-friendly. They give you 5 minutes there, then the machine shuts off, and the next guy's got to come up. There are 12 kiosks in the River Casino Sportsbook. They are constantly all 12 are in use because people are getting to the point of, as we spoke earlier, young man, like the computer age.
Sure.
They don't mind waiting a little while. They go up there, make their own bets, place their money in, place their vouchers in, they're out. I would imagine, just to guess early, we have 12 kiosks now in the temporary book at the Rivers. I would suggest you'll probably see 24 to 30 of them once we get near the football season, because people like to do it themselves. People more apt to understand what's going on, and it takes a lot of the crush away from the window that the people are doing, the one-on-one bets with the teller. So that's the biggest thing I saw, and hopefully, like everybody else, and actually I know people all over the country, Johnny Avello's, the FanDuels, and the DraftKings and whatever, they're going through the same growing pains that everybody else is. Don't think you're going to open up, as I told these people a long time ago, don't think you're going to open up and it'll be a slam dunk. You'll go through like any other business. You'll listen to the customers, you'll listen to the people who work for you, and you'll go from there. But there's not a book out there, whether it's in service now or in service, next month or next year or whatever, who won't go through growing pains. You got to relax, take a step back, understand what your customer base is, and then go from there and do the right thing.
I also love the fact that the Rivers has that betticket.com where you can put the bet on your phone and then bring it up to one of the tellers and confirm your bet. I think it's amazing. I got to ask you about, the kiosks and the bet tickets on your phone. I know it's an amazing convenience for the customer, but running a sports book, are they a convenience for you as running a sports book, or are they just one more headache that you have to worry about?
No, it adds to the time to give to A, the supervisor, and B, the managers, whatever, to do other things that needed to be taken care of at that particular moment. You remember, you're still dealing with people, and people,
Sure.
they want to be the big shot when they're one you ask their question. They could care less about the other people in the joint. It's like what they want. So if you can free up your supervisors, and what the Rivers does, it's a very good idea. At all times when there's people betting on the kiosk, there is either an attendant there from the department, the IT department, who takes care of everything from, if tickets run out, if people don't get the bet that they want, or if it's real busy, like if a ticket writer's on a break, he will go out there and he'll just be there constantly while the people are making bets. So just another little thing of understanding your base and having somebody there to remedy the situation, and you go from there. My thing has been for all these years is like, see it, take care of it, take care of the customer, and go to the next guy. And it seems to work pretty good.
I know it's not allowed yet in Pennsylvania, but what are your thoughts on mobile sports betting? I can tell you, I was in Atlantic City for the Super Bowl, and some of the sports books had their employees going to the people who were standing in line waiting to bet to try and get them to sign up to their mobile app. So how important is it for Pennsylvania sports books to be able to offer online betting?
Well, what I've been saying, and I think I'll be right, but it'll take about 3 to 5 years to prove that Jimmy was right and a lot of people weren't. This will be the biggest monster ever if you can get states like Pennsylvania, New York, and Ohio with all this population growth. It'll be so overwhelming, they have no idea. The amount of people they think will show up, I told them, listen, just relax, sit down. It'll be 3 times more than you think, only because it's convenient, only because it's not, let's call it up like it is also. I can call a McDonald's and make an order over the phone, then it'll be ready when I pick it up. People do have lives. People take their kids to school. People have doctor's appointments. And what we found out at the South Point way early on is like when we did this 5 years ago there, at the beginning we said, geez, maybe they won't come to the counter because they'll just do it on the phone. But we found out completely the opposite. People do make their bets on the phone, but that when they're done doing their early morning chores, they'll still come to the casino. The counter business has not dropped off one bit. But to answer your question, it's a phenomena that way back when I said, geez, it might have a little bit of life here. Well, I was completely wrong. It'll be a monster, and wait to see what happens when the phone apps are okay. It'll be incredible.
Well, I got to ask you something. I was speaking to the head of another Pennsylvania sportsbook who had a temporary location on their property, and I asked them about when are they going to have their permanent physical sportsbook. And they said, well, we're going to wait until the mobile comes out to see how well the mobile does to determine how big we want to do it and where we would want to put it on the property. And for me, that seemed a little backwards, but I guess, is that going to be the new reality across the country when casinos are planning out their sports books?
Well, put it this way, young man. It'll be the decision of the people who run that book or run that hotel, because some people will look at it different. They'll say, "Geez, we don't have to we don't have to spend all this money because about 65% of our money is coming in on the app." So what they'll see, and you can't blame them, like any other business. Let's see what the guy next door does and see how it's affecting his walk-up business. Then you'll go from there. I would imagine that 70% of the people will still do it where it's the phone apps are in use, but they'll still remodel their sports book. There might be 30% by saying, hell, this is working just fine. Nobody is being shut out. Everything is done on time, and we don't have to spend another $1.5 million to, revitalize the sports book. So it'll be the opinion and the people who run the books. No, it's like every other business, as I've been talking about. You will run it accordingly to the way that it fits your clientele. Let's say you're in Philadelphia or New York. You might not want to go there every day because the other side of it simply being, you have choices. You can drive across to Delaware, drive across to New Jersey, or use the phone app for your Pennsylvania application. So a lot of new stuff will unfold. And let me tell you this, the smart ones will overcome it, and they'll do great.
Now, I got to tell you, of course, I've seen you on VSIN, ESPN. I also follow you on Twitter, which you're a great follow on Twitter. There's a lot of great news, a lot of information. But how has the media helped in the expansion of sports betting, and how important is it for sports books to be active in the media and social media?
It's so important I can't even describe it anymore because it's free advertising. And anything, I always tell this story because it is what it is. In 1979, I always tell the story about the Black Sunday where the Steelers won 35-31 against the Cowboys. And hear me, a Pittsburgh kid, and we got slaughtered because the game opened 2.5, went to 5.5, closed 4, and we got middle side and whatever it was. At that time, there was 3 different ways to bet the Super Bowl. You can bet on the side, you can bet on the total, and if you looked around, you might have found a halftime bet. Well, naturally, with the proposition bets and becoming so huge in this area, there was 300 different ways to make bets on the Super Bowl that passed just a few weeks ago. So from 3 ways to make a bet to 300 different ways to make a bet, you had to be ready. And with that, I think we kept growing and we kept trying to see what our neighbor did, then we try to outdo him, whatever. But that was like a slow process. But the kick in the backside was really when Refrigerator Perry crossed the goal line in the 1985 Super Bowl, where we got absolutely carried out, where we had anywhere between 40 and 60 to 1 that he would score a touchdown. So we got beat up real good. But every newspaper in the country, when they first started to hear about that, called in every sports book and said, what the hell happened out there? We heard all this stuff. Well, we told them exactly how it happened. So from that point, a lot of the people across the country would call before an event would happen and say, is there anything that, resembles Refrigerator Perry? And we would tell them the new things that we're doing. The media, and I've been fortunate, the guys I've been speaking with over the years have been really, really nice, but, I'm giving them information. So answer your question, it costs nothing for us to talk to you, to talk to anybody in the AP, to talk to anybody in every city. Now, I'm back in Pittsburgh. Well, naturally, everybody's talking about Antonio Brown. Everybody's talking about this, talking about that. And they call you up and ask you, is there an effect? Does it change anything that, with the betting odds or whatever? So, yes, it's a need, it's a must, and it's a big part of sports emerging from where it was because the whole country wants to know what's going on. And you know what? 98% of the people that I've spoken to over the past 40 years, when I do something, it's actually exactly the way it happened. They appreciate that. I don't hide anything. We get your butt kicked. You get your butt kicked. And I always tell them when it's a good week also, or also tell them, if this guy was playing, what would it be? Who's the favorite now? Whatever. Just giving an opinion. But yes, I might be long-winded here, but media is super, super important.
I got to ask you, sports betting is new to a lot of people on the East Coast, and I know a lot of people are visiting sports books for the first time. When a person is visiting a sports book and looking at that big board for the first time, what would be your advice to them before they place their first bet?
Well, like I told them, unless they don't want to get beat up by 200 people waiting behind you, you don't want to wait for 45 minutes in line, and you get to the front of the counter with the teller there, and you look at the person and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but my husband sent me to make this bet. Well, that you can't happen. You must be prepared before you get to the window. Now, get there early, finding out a little bit. If there's a supervisor that's hanging around and not doing much, go up to him or her and ask them, how do you do this and what goes on? Don't wait in line for 45 minutes and come to the counter. What I suggested, it seems like it works pretty good. First time people, okay, we have March Madness coming up, which will be an absolutely unbelievable event, first time on the East Coast. And I say, if you're going to come for the first time, bring whoever you're with or with your friends, because a lot of people make a lot of friends with these type of events. Come early, get your sheets, go to the coffee shop, have breakfast, talk it over with somebody who might know a little bit more than you, and then get in line. You'll be surprised how quick it goes, and call it like it is. It looks daunting when you stare at that board with all those numbers and red lights blinking, whatever. It can be like overwhelming. But once you get to the bottom of that and find out a little bit more how to do it, just with your bet numbers and the type of bet and the money you're going to bet, you'll be surprised how quick you become a genius like the rest of us.
Jimmy, we're running out of time, but I want to remind everyone if they want to check out what's going on at Rivers Casino Sportsbook, they can check out riverscasinosports.com. Jimmy, it's been an honor speaking with you today, and I can go on for hours, so I hope you come back real soon.
It's my pleasure, young man. Call me anytime you need. It's my pleasure.
Thanks a lot. The great Jimmy Vaccaro from the Rivers Casino Sportsbook. That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.